Greetings. Good day, all of you gentlemen and ladies, all the others out there watching. I note more than a few scoundrels in your midst. I'm here today to talk about old-time ASMR. You see, I've been away for a while, and I find it pretty surprising what I see going around as ASMR these days. People dressed up in costumes, dancing around, pretending to be something they're not. It's hootenanny. It's highfalutin hullabaloo. It's not the ASMR I knew. No, it's a simple thing. We didn't have much. We got our tingles from grass, rocks, but I know times change. They change so fast, it's a full-time job for any person to keep up with them. And I know the world has moved past people like me, but I wanted to share with you, for the purposes of historical preservation, ASMR as I knew it and its history, so that it's not forgotten amid all the crazy, wild things of modern times. Now, the thing to remember is that when I first began, ASMR was not even called ASMR. Autonomous sensory meridian response was nearly 25, maybe 50 years still in the future. No, we knew it by the older names, the neck shivers, the tingles, or the more scientifically noted paroxysm meridia nervosa. Yes, PMN. That was what people tingled to back in the day. And we'll be exploring some of those old-time triggers, of course, like those rocks. Now, for those of you who don't know, ASMR, or PMN, or the neck shivers, was something that really came into its own in the 1800s. Now, the first recorded instance of ASMR, historians believe, is unreligious monastic trembles. Yes, first seen in the Middle Ages, when nuns would begin getting shivers over their entire body. It was believed this came from exposure to ritual page turning and the speaking of foreign language, Latin, which many did not speak. Now, the best guess of scholars is that this is the original written depiction of ASMR for the first time. And it makes sense too. You can see why they might believe that. But the phenomena was largely unexplored up until the 1800s, when a number of scholars and scientists began noticing certain reactions. People would get these tingles in response to things like the making of lead bullets in press molds, knife sharpening, and the reciprocating noises of the automatic threshing machine. This led to some of the first attempts to study the phenomenon, which would be called paroxysm meridial nervosa. Now, some of those early experiences were, well, they weren't constrained by the same ethical boundaries that modern science practice puts upon experimentation. Well, the largest and perhaps most important experiment was Dr. Joseph Abbott's work on housewives and dock workers, which I have to say ended in quite a bit of tragedy. Still, we learned much from his pioneering work, though he got much wrong. And science would go on to refine the understanding of the tingles more thoroughly as the century moved on. Soon, organizations like the Meridian Society sprang up. They began to codify ways to produce the tingles, and the art as we come to know it was reaching its final form. Now, this was all live, of course. ASMR was always performed in person. The ASMR performer, if you will, would visit the homes of people who wished to have the service provided. And he would use various triggering mechanics to produce the reaction and then move on to the next house, much like doctors of the time. And in many ways, given the state of medicine, you might say that ASMR was a safer and more effective way to cure some of the problems facing a person, like fatigue and stress from those rapidly changing, yet still back-breakingly difficult eras. It wasn't until later, of course, that the invention of the mechanical cinema camera, that ASMR enthusiasts would go to the theater and see ASMR films together, sharing the experience with like-minded souls they'd been previously unable to do. And that is where we are today. The audiences going to the ASMR cinema to receive the tingles they so desire. Now, I think we should roll up our sleeves and get to the business of exploring some of the things I've brought in to recreate the shivers of yore. So let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Now, I have here a copy of the Encyclopedia of ASMR that was produced by the Meridian Society at the end of the 19th century, merely a few years behind us on the trail of life. Now, this is a thorough, incredibly scholarly and deep work, exploring all aspects of the phenomena of the neck shivers. We will discuss a few items from within the book that will be of interest. mentioned, the book covers a diverse set of topics. Among them, the old-time triggers like prestidigitation, phrenology, minor surgery, and the folding of linens. Of course, other such triggers. Now, one of the most important sections of this tome covers the 5 pillars of ASMR, which the Meridian Society identified and felt reflected the important ingredients of the art. Those pillars are stillness, quietude, mechanical acoustics, gentleness, and acceptance. Now, there was a 6th pillar, yelling, which was an important part of early attempts to produce the tingles. Now, changing tastes have since eliminated yelling, as it's not well tolerated by the soft-bellied humans of today. But it was one of the most effective ways to produce the neck shivers in olden times. Take someone by the shoulders, give a good yell, and if necessary, a shake to stimulate the production of the tingles. Now, I admit to being somewhat old-fashioned and to being a firm advocate for this technique's effectiveness. I will try to rein it in, of course, to suit the modern palate. But I warn you, it's best if you tingle soon and often, so I don't feel a need to resort to this more vigorous means of producing the tingles. Now, another area the book covers are cures for when tingles become excessive or uncontrollable spasms are provoked by the methods of ASMR. The best recommendation, should this occur, is a cold towel placed upon the neck and 2 spoonfuls of castor oil given. This is normally sufficient, but if necessary, loud noises should be applied in the vicinity of the victim, such as the banging of pots and pans or the hammering upon an anvil. In most cases, these are more than sufficient to correct the situation. Now, there are many who would seek to profit from the business of ASMR, both those who've created machines like the Shiver Master, which I consider to be dubious at best, to outright hucksterism, like these pills designed to cure excessive tingling These are Dr. Zebulon Montgomery's formula for alleviation and remission of shivers, tingles, meridial spasmodia, and associated maladies. I can assure you, this is pure snake oil, and should you see it at your apothecary, go nowhere near it. In the interest of honor of legitimate ASMR, I have of course challenged Zebulon Montgomery to a duel over this false and unacceptable product. He has yet to make himself available for said contest, which I believe speaks firmly to the quality of his product, or complete lack thereof. Now, let us examine some of the tingles that got us old-timers through the roughest of days. You may laugh, but these are real, and they work. And it's all we had. Dry grass could be found just about anywhere. That's a nice, crispy sound. And there you have it. Another item used for tingles might be tools used for carpentry or saddle repair. Some could receive tingles simply from watching a craftsman at work, such as planing a plank of wood. Tool. Next, we have, of course, another commonly found item, sticks. Now, the finest tingles to be had can come from old dry branches like these. Those of us who lived on the plains and didn't have access to this kind of luxurious tingle item. These particular examples are essentially devoid of bark. That, of course, could be another effective trigger. Sticks. Don't overlook them. I will now use the pillar of gentleness. And how are you doing this evening? That is very fine news. Splendid. I am honored to be the recipient of such news directly from you. Very well then. Up next, of nature's little miracles, the acorn. tell you the number of strong folk that I've seen cry uncle. Such are the ferocity of tingles that can be produced by acorns. A fall favorite, dry leaves. Wonderful crackly sounds. Dry leaves. And for our final tingles, gravel. tour through the old ways, paroxysm meridial nervosa, or ASMR as you know it today. I hope this was informative, and if I've done anything, hopefully I can give you an appreciation for the bounty of incredible, diverse ASMR techniques that exist today. However unusual I might find them, or however disappointed I am that yelling has been removed from the repertoire. I hope this has been a tingly session for you. I wish you all the neck shivers you desire, and have yourself a fine evening.